What's up, guys? Let me know if you can hear me, and if you're watching this on replay, don't forget to you can watch it at times two speed if you want, or speed that up because it's possible I might get a bit rambly here. Because this is just live. There's no cuts. There's no second takes. It's just this is it, right? And yeah, if you got any questions or if you don't be shy, just leave them in the comments below, and I'll reply them at the end. So welcome. So how this will go is basically I have some content for you guys that I kind of planned, not exactly scripted, kind of like I have some content prepared for you guys. So the video will be about this content, and leave me questions in the comment box at any time, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. So during the live stream or near the end of the live stream, I'll get to the comments. So yeah, pretty much it. So if you read the title, this today's video is pretty much about the three types of people in self-help, three levels of development in self-help that I found is uh, there are different types of people really, and different levels of development that they're at, and depending on what level that you're at in personal development, you will you have to listen to different types of advice. You have to look at different type of advice, and you have to be taking different action. You have to be taking different steps towards bettering your life. All right. So here are the three levels. So I like to describe it as is, right? Like kind of like um, the way I like to describe it is the first level is you're the what I like to call the diplomat, the harmony peace seeker, like sort of the people pleaser. The first level is like pretty much you're like everyone else. You're like someone part of society. Right? You conform to what your parents told you to do, what society told you to do, what culture told you to do. I like to describe it as sort of the stage blue of the spiral dynamics. If you want to really get nerdy here, stage blue of spiral dynamics pretty much is the stage where it's all about rules, it's all about regulation, it's all about like what other people want. And usually at this stage, like because all of your decisions are based on fear and what other people expect of you, at that first level of development, it's very very hard to uh, it's hard to think for yourself. You can't think for yourself because really, your whole life, it's like you're living to other people's expectations, you're living to society's expectations, your parents' expectations, your teachers' expectations, and it's really a state of fear. And a lot of times, I like to say on this channel, like, think for yourself, create your own path. And like, people who are at that stage, they can't really do that because they're so afraid. They don't know who they are anymore because they brainwashed themselves into believing that what their parents want for them is what they truly want, or what society wants for you is what you truly want, right? So for example, you might have thought to believe that what you truly want is to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? Sorry, my eyes is so scratchy. So you believe that, right? And you just buy into this narrative, and because of that you completely lose yourself in that, and you forget about who you are because you think that who you are is your heritage, who you are is your past. And there's some people like they cannot see that, and it's like they don't have this sort of like personal mission or need, and really they can't develop that because they're in survival mode. They're thinking of like, well, I need to like have food on my plate. I need to, yeah, get this degree so I can survive and like make money because, my parents, they were always poor, and then I don't want to end up poor. So it's like this fear mindset, right? And I see some of you guys starting to jump in here. What's up? What's up, Harsh Dishmood? We spoke, right? Yeah, we spoke on we spoke on Facebook. By the way, you guys can add me on Facebook. I love to talk to you guys even one on one. If you have any questions, just shoot me a chat. By the way, and don't be shy. Leave me any comments, questions you have about today's video or about personal development. I'll get into that near the end. All right now, right? Hey, what's up? Yeah. um, so that's pretty much the first stage of personal development. It's like you're kind of like in this kind of this culture sort of thing, and you're a people pleaser, and then usually when people find my channel, it's like they're at stage one and they want to get to stage two or stage three, right? So my videos are on like how to be stop being a people pleaser. This is like you realize you can no longer live up to society's narrative. You can no longer focus on other people's needs, and you have to focus on your own needs. Hello, your loneliness. Hello, Atu Arts. People are joining in right now. Uh, don't forget to hesitate to leave your comments there. And the second stage I'm gonna get into is after you kind of pass this societal paradigm, you go into the next paradigm that I like to call the expert paradigm, or the sort of uh, it's sort of like the rebel paradigm. You start to realize that society's paradigm was wrong, that your friends were wrong, your family was wrong, and then you start carving your own path, I like to call it, and you become this, to get nerdy here again, stage orange of spiral dynamics. It's the stage where you start to think for yourself. You start to sort of have your own independent thoughts. You start to look at everything that was wrong in your previous paradigm. You're kind of rebelling against it, and now you look into it's more sort of like a pride-seeking paradigm. Like you have certain values now that you realize, well, society was wrong on this. This is what I believe to be true, and you develop sort of this idea around you being right, of being the expert in your own field, the expert in your own sort of way of life, right? And that can be good or bad. It can be good in a sense because you develop your own sense of thinking and all that, but at the same time, you can become a bit more close-minded, right? For example, like people who go from stage one to stage two, let's say they've always struggled with women, and then they discover the pickup community, the PUA community, and this community is really a community where basically it's really like sort of close-minded in a sense, which is fine for the time being, but it's just like so when you go into thinking for yourself and like you're trying to find like a better group that you relate to, relates more to your values, that's kind of the stage where you go towards that, right? You're trying to find those things, and then maybe that's when you find self-help. You're like, well, fuck society, but like what I agree on is like Tony Robbins or like Nameless, and then you find like sort of this you try to find your independent spirit, and what emerges from that is sort of like this period of self-determination, self-motivation, and your own values come up. And usually it's kind of like it comes with sort of like a rebellious spirit. And the bad is that there's also this sort of resentment towards authority, this sort of resentment towards your teachers, your parents, your friends, and which is totally healthy, by the way, at the beginning, because you need this anger, you need this resentment, you need this hate in order to move on from stage one to stage two. And that's a lot of things that a lot of self-help gurus, a lot of, I think, life coaches or whichever coach that we don't talk about. It's like the dark side is okay sometimes. Sometimes you need to like if you're stuck at a lower paradigm, the only thing that will snap you out sometimes is anger and frustration and depression. And it's totally fine to channel that in a positive direction. I think people expect a lot in the self-help community that like it's like you're down there, now we're going to teach you meditation, spirituality, become enlightened. It's like, no, there's like different stages. And that's why like a lot of people on my videos, they're like some people, they leave comments like, well, why do you tell people to be themselves and then you wear a mask? Or then why do you talk about like being like sort of like you make videos about manipulation, and then you also talk about compassion and like being nice, but also you talk about not being a people pleaser. Like, what the fuck it is, right? It's like different videos appeal to different people at different levels of development. And there's so many paradoxes also in personal development that you just need to be okay with it. You need to sit with it and be like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't know everything, and that's fine. Just a good way to like go about it is like whichever level you feel you're at. If you struggle with meeting women, just watch videos on that. If you struggle with I don't know, like a toxic relationship, just watch videos on that. If you want to find your purpose, watch videos on that. If you're dealing with a manipulator, watch my videos on that, right? So exactly what I was saying, like balance, like you said, your Linus. And what's up, Cheryl? What's up, Salpintra? What's up, Harsh? Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Um, you could even call it like, there's a better word for it, I think. It's called counterbalancing. That's what Gary Keller says in his book, The One Thing. That's pretty much um, you when you work on stuff, when you work on yourself, it's like a counterbalancing act. So you work on one thing. While you work on one thing, the rest of your life will sort of go out of order, right? So me right now, I'm working on my business, like really hard on my business, really hard on doing one-on-one coaching, getting more clients, helping those clients get the results they want. That's my focus right now. And right now I'm kind of, a bit less focused on YouTube, I guess. I reply less to comments now, and I mean, it's not that I don't love you guys. It's just like it's like this act of like you laser focus on one thing. Okay, you struggle with like confidence with the opposite sex and like dating. So okay, focus all on that, and it's okay if like other aspects of your life are put aside for a little bit, or you struggle with your finances. So then that's what you should focus on, right? So yeah, that's just kind of like a tangent there. Just reading some of your comments, guys. Just always disappears for some reason. I try to improve myself always, but taking action is hard. I just start something, then I lose the motivation. Yeah, ask yourself why. Why do you lose motivation? It's a simple question, but why, right? Why do you lose that motivation? And it can come down to many things. Ask yourself, like, what's your deeper reason to do that thing? I remember I was on a free consultation with someone, and he said like, he's a guy from India, like struggling to get into that top tier school in India. It's like the India's Institute of Technology. It's like the highest, I think it was one of the highest schools there. And he says like the competition is like incredible. There's like, I don't know, like tens of thousands of people apply, and only a handful of people get in, and people just kill themselves, like work themselves to death, like to work on that and be successful. And he said like, dude, like how do I motivate myself to do that? It's so much torture, so much like it's so goddamn hard. So goddamn hard. And I'm like, well, is that really what you want to do? And he said, um, I mean, I want to be an engineer. Yeah, I want to be like, I want to be safe and I want to have like that money, but I just hate it. I hate the process. It's torture. And he said the word torture like 3 or 4 times. And I just knew right away that it's probably not what he wanted. It's just because he's at the first level of sort of, not to, maybe if you're watching this, I'm not trying to box you somewhere or whatever. Maybe he's watching this right now. I don't know. But like, so he's kind of stuck in that paradigm of like, that's the only thing he can do, right? And it's just hard for me to help. It's like, how can I, and he was asking me, how can I find motivation to do something I hate? Like, he didn't say it in those words, but he was pretty much saying that. And I pretty much replied, well, I can't. I don't know. Like, seriously, I can't motivate you to do something that you don't like to do. It's just, you don't like it, you don't fucking like it. I mean, yeah, maybe like a short-term thing. Like, let's say you don't feel like going to the gym. Yeah, you can motivate yourself. But ultimately, you want that. Ultimately, even though you don't like it, you want to go to the gym. But if you don't even want it in the first place, how can you motivate yourself to do something that you don't even want? Doesn't make any sense. Every single thing I do in my day, working towards helping other people, helping you guys, and all that, releasing those videos, those are things I genuinely want to do. And I'm motivated because I genuinely want to do those things. I know it sounds simple, but like think about it, right? What do you genuinely want? And something maybe you got to ask yourself over and over again for, weeks, months, days, right? Often, like I found, like with working with people, the answer is in the simplest of questions. Really, like I ask, like, I think of myself, well, what are like the amazing techniques I can use in my coaching so that people change their lives? Like what video can I make that will completely change someone's life? And it's like, it's always the simplest of questions that get the most results. I'm baffled by this. Like every time it's like, it's 1 or 2 key questions that can change your whole life. And this is one of them. What do you truly want to do? What do you truly want? So yeah, that's pretty much it. And just getting into the topic of this video, so I talked to you about the two first stages of development. Is like the first one, you kind of the conformist. The second one, you become the expert. You start seeing for yourself. You kind of become a rebel, sort of like you carve your own path. You're like a warrior. You're the lone wolf, right? If you relate with those words like lone wolf, warrior, like rebel, that you're probably on this. And the third level, which I like to call the achiever. The achiever is kind of after you've kind of matured beyond the point of, just being a rebel and like saying fuck you to society. You kind of like mature beyond that, and you start becoming more open-minded. You become more creative. You become more this is usually a point where this is the people I love to teach. People at that level that are just like really open-minded. Like, yeah, they struggle with certain things, but like they are driven by purpose. They're driven by creativity. They're driven by beauty. They're driven by seeking something that is beyond themselves, transcendent to themselves, which is amazing, right? And it's really, really hard to reach that point where you want to look like you want to seek for purpose, you want to seek for spirituality, for unity, for compassion, for an impact on the world, if you can't even take care of yourself first, right? So look at yourself at your life and be like, well, am I at a point where I can start doing that? If not, then you got to look at other aspects. Like, do you have your relationships in place? Do you have your family relationships in place? Do you have the necessary finances? Or do you feel safe? Like, do you even have enough money to eat? Like, I've had a guy who, lived in his car and like had no job, and basically pretty much, so he was homeless. And he came up to me on a free consultation, like, and I was like, right away, I'm like, dude, it's not time to do personal development. It's time to just get a job. Like, I could not help this guy. It's like, depending on what you struggle with, it's like self-development is like the highest, it's like the sort of the tip of the pyramid, right? Here, the little Illuminati song here. It's a tip of the pyramid. And you have to take care of all the bottom needs before you even look at like actualizing and like purpose, and those are important things, but you cannot neglect the basics. So it's kind of like the moral of this video. It's like, don't try to like skip a stage. Basically, don't try to skip a stage, and just look at where you're at and all that. And this is really like the achiever mindset. Is like, once you've taken care of yourself, then you can start thinking about others. The sort of achiever mindset of I want to achieve an impact on the world. I want to achieve a contribution to the world. And you start seeing greater. If you want to get more nerdy here, as I like to get nerdy, it's probably like stage green or stage yellow of spiral dynamics. If you want to study that, it's pretty much the stage where you start seeing other people as sort of as part of you. You start seeing the collective and how you can help the collective, because you're already good with yourself. You're already happy with yourself. So you look at how you can expand that, right? And that's pretty much what it is. And it's usually future focused. And at that level, you can start holding more paradoxes in mind. You can start, why do I wear a mask, right? It's interesting because the mask really screens out people who are open-minded versus those who are closed-minded, like that, right? All the people who are, driven, successful, open-minded, they always, like, all the successful people I've talked to or have talked to me, they're incredibly open about the mask. They're incredibly open about my channel. They're not judgmental. And it's like a screening mechanism. It's like people who can't stand my mask, it's like they don't watch my channel. Thank God. Thank God. Because it's like, I want people more like the third level. People who are like open-minded, and they can be like they can hold a non-judgmental frame, and for a very long time. Even if it's something completely wrong, they can just like hold their judgment and just kind of like sustain their kind of like hold that paradox for a long time. Deal with paradoxes and deal with different paradigms, conflicting paradigms for a long time, and it's totally fine. So the paradox of like, in order to be strong, in order to be masculine, you also need to be feminine. You also need to show your weakness. That's a paradigm that totally makes sense at that level. The point of you have to be yourself, you have to be authentic, but you cannot be 100% yourself 100% of the time. And sometimes you have to wear a mask in society. And you have to wear a mask sometimes with people. This paradox completely makes sense at that level. So it's like the point where you reach like a sort of a greater understanding. You see different ideas and you see how everything interconnects. Not like the stage below that, sort of like the sort of stubborn expert stage where you kind of like see things at like individual instances, like this is me, this is this other person. I don't give a shit about them. This is me, right? But like at this third level, you see things as interconnected to everything else. So yes, there are individual instances in time and in space, and there's individual people, but also there is like those individual things are all interrelated. So that so the person that some of the people that you hate in life or the people you can't get along with, those people actually, yeah, I mean, actually, there's maybe something in common with them. Maybe like you can see how the weaknesses that you project onto other people are actually your own weaknesses, right? So me, for example, I like to project like, oh, people are lazy, people like don't take action. I like to project that onto others, but actually, I have this weakness too. Like I spend at least like 1 to 2 hours per day playing video games, and I mean, I procrastinate too. I'm not perfect. So it's also maybe just a projection. So those are pretty much the three levels of personal development. So yeah, if you guys got any questions, don't forget to leave them down there. I see you guys are about like 13 of you guys. Let me just read what you guys wrote. So pretty much doing Q&A now. I love your Pascual Avalos. I love your concept of your channel, fam. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's the concept is pretty much like trying to stand out from the rest, kind of bring a fresh new perspective on things that people don't think about. Thank you, Sal Pincha. I struggle with major procrastination, man. Procrastination, yeah, it's it's a huge thing. What's at the root cause of that, right? Why do you procrastinate? Let me ask you this, right? Depending on the answer to that question, then there'll be different solutions. So if you procrastinate because you hate what you do, then just change it. Do something else that you like. Find what you like. That's like, some people they like treat procrastination like the main thing, as like there's a problem, right? At the first level of thinking, they try to solve it at the level it was created. So they just kind of like, okay, procrastination is the problem. Let's just, how do I fix procrastination? But they don't see the root cause of it. So what's the root cause of procrastination? Ask yourself, why there's procrastination? Maybe the reason you procrastinate is because you hate your job. Or maybe you procrastinate because your parents told you when you were younger that you never amount to anything. Or maybe you procrastinate because your food is shit, your diet is shit, your sleep is shit, you don't have any energy to do anything, and you have no structure to your day. Ask those questions. And when you get at the root cause, then you fix the root cause, and then the surface level problem, which is procrastination, will autocorrect. It's crazy. Like I'll give you an example. Like one of my clients, she was struggling with creating deep connection with people, and also she said she was struggling, like she wasn't sure as to like what she wanted in her life, what she and who she was about and all that. And we clarified that. We had like we dug in deep to the root cause of like, well, what is it truly that you want? What is it truly that you want, like in other people, in relationships? And when she dug out all those things, those values, then all of a sudden, without even me like touching on the relationship aspect, her relationships just improved. Like magically. I was like, what the heck? And it wasn't the first time. Like the second time also with another one of my clients, another dude I'm coaching with, we did the same thing, and then his relationships improved. Like, so often the problem is not what it seems. Often the problem is deeper than what it seems. You look at a lot of self-help, they teach you like how to be more productive, and they tell you like the 5 top tips. but get at the root cause. What do you want to be productive about? What do you want to create, right? So yeah, kind of to make you guys think a little bit. Um, Me too. I used to meet the deadlines at first, even when I procrastinated, but I started to miss deadlines, fail my classes, and now I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know my purpose. Yeah, I mean, here it is. The sort of the answer is in the question. It's like find that purpose. When you find it, once you find that purpose, you're less likely to miss deadlines because you'll know like how important it is to you to not miss that deadline. If you don't have a reason why, like there's no reason to there's no valid reason to go to class, there's no valid reason to uh, stick to your deadlines, then you won't. Simple as that. Human nature. If you have a strong why, you will succeed. If you don't have a strong why, you will fail, or you won't do it. So that's pretty much it. Swapnil Shaba. Easy to say just leave what you don't like. We can't just leave college classes or something because we don't like that particular subject, and being in a third world country, dropping out isn't an option. Yeah, well, if you're a third world country, you're actually, yeah, maybe you're the exception. Because I don't know what it's like in a third world country, and 91% of my audience is from United States. So if that's the case for you, man or a woman, I don't know. I don't know if you're man or woman, whatever, but I mean, yeah, maybe then you don't have a choice. I don't know. I've never lived in a third world country, so I can't help you out on that, unfortunately. But as I said, different advice for people in different stages. So for you at your stage, it's not, where you're at, what you struggle with is yes, you have to go to school, finish school, get a diploma, get a good job, and then once you're financially secure, where you're not worried about like starving the next day, you're not worried about like what your family, uh, you know, having a hard time with their finances and all that, then you could start thinking more creatively. And unfortunately, in third world countries, it's very hard. As I said, to like focus on what you truly like because you can't afford to do what you truly like. And it might be the case in third world countries, but I'm mostly speaking to people in first world countries here in my videos. I'm mostly speaking to people who can afford to do those things, right? Because really, people, if you're first world country, man, if you're watching this video and and you're like, or sort of like in Europe or in America or in Australia, whatever, you can afford to challenge yourself a little bit and think those ways. So, Francois, what's up? I found myself improving my life, but realized my environment was bad. People around me, no matter how high I climbed, those people brought me back down. Not really a question, but thought I'd share this. Yeah, I mean, the environment is huge. The average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. As I think Jim Rohn said that, success leaves clues. That the guy, he just said that. And it's totally true. Your environment, when you're a specific type of environment, right, you want to achieve a certain goal. And whichever the group is struggling with, whatever the group is, right, your family, your friends, they're in a certain way of living, okay? They're living a certain way. And if you want to be that person over there, they're like, well, where are you going? Stay with us. Because they're afraid to lose you. They're afraid that, by you improving, by you changing your life, you're shining the light upon them that they're failing, right? You're shining the light upon them that, they're unsuccessful. So of course they'll pull you back down, and that's the hardest thing to do. And there's sort of be like, once you start improving yourself, there's sort of like this weird transition phase where you don't know where you stand anymore. But so like there's like, you got to make the leap to start and improve yourself, and you'll make new friends along the way, but you got to be willing to make those new friends, and it can be hard. It's what I've seen, like everyone in personal development, it's this: they want to improve, and then their lives, their friends, it's like their friends hold them back. But you got to make new friends, and it sucks to say, that's what I believe. That's what I truly believe. And I mean, doesn't mean to ditch them completely. I mean, you can ditch them, but um, you can still see them, but less, so they have less negative influence on you. There's things you can do. So if you can't, if your environment is holding you back, change environment. Uh, Easier said than done, but I think that's what you gotta do. But we can choose career, bro. Hell yeah, yeah, hell yeah. Harsh, we can choose careers. Pascual, right now I'm sobering off from marijuana. I have almost 5 weeks now, and I've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel dedicated to this topic. It's super controversial. Do it. Awesome. Just do it. Uh, it sounds like, just from the sound of it, it sounds like it's something you'd be passionate about, um, and something you have experience in. So it's probably something good. From what my instincts are telling you. Swap Neil Chabot, thanks. I'm a guy, by the way. What you said is true. Creative work is a huge commitment and regular income isn't guaranteed. I still try to be both professional and creative in life at once. Yeah, man. I mean, what you said is true. Creative work is a huge commitment and regular income isn't guaranteed. Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you're in a third world country, affording to be creative, it's like there's not many creative fields that will get you a lot of money. Me, I'm really privileged to live in Canada, where I can find any job anywhere, and like even at the lowest wages and at minimum wage in Canada, and I'd still have time at the end of the day to make some videos, right? I'll still have, like, it won't be the best, right? But at least I have some time. I can afford to be creative. I have, access to all the resources to be creative and shoot YouTube videos. And in a third world country, you probably don't have access to that. The infrastructures are different. And yeah, so yeah. Also talking about environment, even your country, right? If your country is bad and you think is living in a safer place, like, would help your personal development, hell yeah, it would. If you live in Canada, United States, or a first world country, it will definitely help your personal development, and you can start thinking about self-help, right? Like, I don't know a lot of people in third world countries who read like a lot of self-help books, or a lot of like personal development books, because it's like they're more worried about like going to school and making money, because that's where they're at. And if you look at spiral dynamics, it's like a paradigm of it's like a study. It's like a sociological, psychological sort of study on human development. That's really the first world countries, the people who like the greatest wealth, they can afford to do personal development, because they have their needs met. So yeah. Jiro Lamb, it's easier to change your environment than change those people around you. Yeah, actually, true. And I don't think you can change people. You can't change people. Even me as a coach, I'm even saying myself, I can't change my clients either. I can't change people. They change themselves. People change themselves. All I can be, for example, on those videos, all I can do is I can be the catalyst. What's the name? Catalyst. Yeah, I can be the catalyst for change. I can help you sort of realize things about yourself. But I can't take that action. I can't take your hand and apply for that dream career, or I can't take your hand and like start that YouTube channel for you. You gotta start your channel yourself. And that's be something I should say at the beginning of each session. I do is like, yo, dude, like, you can pay for me and to get coaching with me, but if you don't take action, you're gonna fail. And it's pretty true. So I don't know if you guys got any last questions here. All of you guys are still here, leave me questions down below. I don't see any more questions, because I'm gonna head out soon. So don't be shy, shoot them away, questions away, and let me know, like, are you enjoying those live streams? Do you want me to do them every week? I know sometimes I used to do them every week. I stopped because I was focused on other things, but now that I have a bit more time now, I'm gonna actually do them every week. So yeah. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, whatever thing, and leave me your comments. If you got any questions, you didn't have time to have them answered, let them in the comments below. And yeah, enjoy. So, thank you guys for watching, and have a good one. Salpin Shah, love your stuff too. Thank you. Goodbye. How do you say? How do you quit? How do you quit? You click X. Goodbye.